Hello everyone, welcome to today's video. Today I'll be reviewing another interesting game that I watched on the Fox Go server between two professionals. The two players are Jihyun, has the white pieces from Korea, and Wang Xinghao from China. Jihyun, according to Go ratings, is top 30 in the world, and Wang Xinghao, if you haven't heard his name before, you definitely will going forward because he's currently number 2 in the world. And number 1 in China. So he's very strong. I believe he won his first world title earlier this year. It was either earlier this year or late last year. So he's very strong, very young too. I believe he's 21 years old. So yeah, he's got many more years of amazing play ahead of him. So yeah, let's get into it. The time settings were, again, it's Fox, so pretty quick. Fox casual game. So I think it was minute main time with 3 15-second overtime, something like that. But the reason why I wanted to look at this game is because, and the last one I did was because a lot of the choices that was being made was crazy to me. And there's crazy codes and it's very complicated in that sense. In this one, the reason why I wanted to look at this one is because white in this case, Jihyun, played some very peculiar moves early on. Moves I have never seen before. I haven't seen AIs play. I haven't seen other pros play. Just very strange moves. And since I hadn't seen them before, I figured a lot of you hadn't either, so I wanted to share. So without further ado, let's get into the game. And so far, pretty standard. Pretty standard. And then we get here. Again, this looks very normal. White plays here. So this move by itself is not substandard, but it's definitely fallen out of fashion. And even this specific move, again, you would normally see here, and I'm going to actually talk about this move in more detail in a bit. So we'll get back to this move, but this move by itself, the specific spot is very strange, actually, especially with how white chose to continue. But we'll get back to this move. Again, black plays this move or this game very by the book, very logically. White pushes, and black just takes the corner. Normally, you can actually just leave it at this point, but black decides to take the corner, which is fine. Play there, and then white jumps. The idea with the jump is once black has lived, like if white had gone elsewhere, or let's say black played something like this immediately, the problem would be you're not alive in the corner, and so all of a sudden, if you have to live in the corner, white gets tempo towards the center, something like this. Now these 3 stones are isolated. So black lives first by cutting, and now if white goes elsewhere, now black could double Hane, because now there's no danger in the lower left group dying anytime. So black could just go on an all-out assault on the bottom. So that's the idea with cutting first, and so that's why white jumps here. This is a big area for black to build, especially with the lower right Shimari. And the left side also is very big for white to build too. And similarly, because black's alive, white doesn't really want to start a fight here either. Black could just cut immediately, something like this. And while I don't think it's horrible for white, black's hitting this E6 spot very soon or surrounding this bottom side. So if white fixes here, probably not this specific spot, but if white fixes this somehow, whether black chooses this way or this way, this is going to be very uncomfortable for white. There's still really bad Aji, and now black's wall here is facing this lone stone here. Or black could play this way and play for the long fight as well. I think either way is playable for black. So that's why white doesn't want to Hane here and leave the cut, so white just jumps. And then black plays, well actually before I say where black plays somewhere on the left side. If you were black here, where would you play on the left side here to invade? And this will bring up one of the key concepts I want to talk about in this review. If you're black, how would you play on the left side? take a second. Let me know in the comments where you would play, and let's see if you can guess the number 2 player's spot. Black plays here. Black plays here. Which might look peculiar, especially if you learned Go like I did pre-AI. Pre-AI, we based a lot of our moves on proverbs, and one of those proverbs, if you get an empty board here, is if we have something like this, actually kind of like in the game. Whenever you invade your opponent's side, you want to be able to leave 2 comfortable spaces for extension. And that's because if your opponent takes one, you can take the other. And like so. And so no matter which way black plays, you're going to get a comfortable base. And that's something, again, I was probably taught a couple months into learning, especially learning on the 19 by 19. Like that's one of the first things I even still tell beginners that. When you want to make a base, or when you want to invade, you want to leave space for a 2-space extension on either side. We don't have that in this game though, right? If we look at the board position, we don't have that. Even if black were to play here, black can only get a comfortable extension to there. But even regardless, you would think, okay, since black can take one or the other, it would still be okay for black. So the question becomes, why would black play a move like this one when it's obvious white's not going to allow black to extend the 2 spaces, right? In this case, black can either extend to, it's not really an extension, but can either go to here, maybe this one, or to here, right? Which way, as whites, would you force black to take? Of course, you're going to force black to take this one. So why would black play there? Because there's another proverb, as white, we must follow, or we must think about. Whenever you have thickness, you want to push your opponents towards your thickness. Notice here, white has a ton of stones in the lower left. So that means white should want to push black towards the thickness. So if black had played a more normal move, let's say like this one, white will happily push black towards that thickness. And white's going to be able to use these stones here to attack black. And if white's able to do that, and we'll play very calmly here, we won't do anything crazy, these stones will be facing a potentially very big top side for white. And black's not going to be able to make a lot of points here. So, and even in this kind of position, black's not even alive yet. So that's the idea, is if we play this one, white can push us towards their thickness, I mean. But when we play this one, white really can't do that. So in the game, white had to instead extend from their thickness. So in this case, it's not so much about what I want, it's what does my opponent want. There's another very good example, and if you've seen this in pro games or strong players games, maybe it'll make sense now, is if we have this kind of variation, white pincers, something like this, right? Black has sente. A very big spot for black to get is this 3-3. But when white has this stone at C11, if we play this 3-3, now it's very unlikely white's going to block this way because all of a sudden C11's in a very awkward spot. Even though this extension here on the bottom's nice, if we get C7 next, C11 starts to get very isolated. So more likely than not, and white should block this way. But if white blocks this way, look how nice this is for white. White can expand very quickly while attacking the upper left. So what will you see? Instead of the 3-3, black will actually attach now. This is the time to attach. Because we know white wants to take the left side. But if white takes the left side here, not only do we get a bigger corner, but white's left side is also smaller. Compare the two here. You can just see one is Black's corner is bigger in this variation and smaller in this one. So we can use the fact we know what our opponent wants to play this one. Again, if white were to take the corner, the stone here at C11 gets isolated. So if you ever see an attach on the 4-4 stone, it's because the player invading the 3-3 felt if they played the 3-3, there was an obviously good side for the opponent to play on. And specifically the side that they attached to. They figured if white played C4, in this case, it would be better, which is true. So if you've seen this is a opening you'll actually see quite a bit. That's why black plays the attach. So it's the same concept here. You want to be annoying for your opponent. So when black goes here, there's no great way for white to play. Again, you can't really push like this because that move by itself is not worth a lot. And black gets a further extension if black chooses to take one. So black's base is a little bigger. But you don't want to make territory with your thickness either. So yeah, this move is perfectly, it's not so much looking at black's benefits, but it's looking at what white would want. So yes. But as I said, we're going to turn to R11 and why R11 is such a peculiar move. So one of the first, again, going back to josekis and proverbs, one of the first joseki I ever learned, again, nowadays, I bet it's different for players. I bet the first josekis players know now are 3-3s potentially, which is a big culture shock for me. The first one I ever learned was simply this one. Something like this, right? And again, you don't see this played very much at all anymore, but we can use this here to dissect the move white played in the game. So this is the first joseki I learned. And the key here is this slide here. Why do we play this slide? So if we look at the game, we'll see what happens. Black plays here, white extends, black kicks, right? So this seems pretty normal, and then black plays there. So here, the reason why white would want to slide, like let's say like this, is to prevent that kick. Because if black kicks now, we can just connect, and if black covers, we're just connecting our shape. This is okay for white. Because again, if you were getting better, again, I don't know what they teach now, but you're taught how far can you extend from your stones. So for example, when you have, like in the game, when you have one stone here, right, as white, you can extend 2, which is what white does. But, and we'll actually swap this here, like this, like this. So let's play a black move. If you have one stone, you can extend like this, right? If you have one stone, you can extend there. If you have 2 stones, right? If you have 2 stones, you can extend 3. So if you have 1, extend 2. If you have 2, extend 3. If you have 3, extend 4. After that, it gets a little like flexible at that point, like if you have 5, 6, 7 stone wall. But generally speaking, for the 1, 2, and 3, you want to add 1 line for each stone that's in the wall or in the kind of foundation. So this would make sense. But notice in the game, white has 2, but extended 2. And so this is considered over-concentrated. And that's what the slide is trying to prevent when we have this sequence. When white slides first, black plays there, and then extends. That's what we're trying to prevent, is getting over-concentrated. And so white knows this too. Of course white knows this. And so I've seen moves like this be played to try to counteract the kick. I've seen this kind of move be played. So it's strange to me white would allow this sequence here. Again, I think white was definitely experimenting in this game. Yeah. And also, while black wouldn't do this immediately, the problem as well is not that just you're over-concentrated, but after this, there is not a good way to fix the aji of S12. There's just not a good way to fix this aji. Because no matter what, there's going to be a clamp there, like so. And very it's very risky to try to fight here when you have too many cuts, right? And so that means, even if you fix with something like this, or try to fix efficiently, there's still Aji here. So the question is, how does white fix? Well, if you fix with a very obvious move, all of a sudden R12 becomes a wasted stone. You would never start with getting kicked, right? If do this, you wouldn't start with this move here, and then black does this. You wouldn't do this and then play here, right? You would never play R11. So yeah, it's a tough scenario for white. So you never want to fix there, but there'll always be a problem, right? So it just shows you not only are you over concentrated, but your shape becomes really bad as well. So that's why I'm like, oh, white's just allowing this. Okay, I guess so. I guess that's fine. But again, I'm not sure if white had this next move planned or what. But this is kind of the first, like white's R11 and J4. We're like, okay, they're peculiar, they're strange, but I can kind of see it. They're nothing out of the ordinary. But then white's next move is I can guarantee I've never seen before. And I'm getting ahead of myself actually, because there's one more point I want to mention with this is, let's say once again, white didn't have the stone here, but instead approached first, and we get something like this, right? After the kick, say black goes elsewhere, we would want to extend 3, right? If 2, jump 3. Then when black plays here, while it's not super great, we can see our shape's just a little more efficient, right? We don't have a stone right next to the stone we just played. So that's why if you have the 2, you want to be able to extend a little further. So yeah. But to the new move here, again, here, white's direction I can understand, but the specific move I'm like, what? Because I've seen moves, the 2 space I know, because if black goes elsewhere, we can get this shoulder hit, or we can get this attach into peep. We need a ladder breaker for this P16 stone, and lo and behold, here it is. So normally black would just answer like this. Again, this I've all seen. White can also start by just playing at N16, and if black stands up, we jump. This I've also seen before. I've seen this one too, where we're threatening to attach, so usually black just jumps. If black goes elsewhere, we can attach and cut, something like this. Yeah, and if black captures, we can then squeeze like so, and there's co-potential, there's invasion potential still, so black has to be a little careful. But that's what I know, right? I've seen this hundreds of times. But white plays a new move. White plays here. And when I saw this move, I was confused, of course, but also I was just kind of in awe of how, I don't know, just how cool this move is. Again, whenever you see, especially with AIs now and everything's so, like, everything's solved. You don't see new moves anymore, that kind of thing, because AIs have solved everything, blah, blah, blah. When you see this move, I've never seen an AI play it, never seen another pro play it. It's refreshing to be able to see a new move being tested and kind of on the board like this. So I really like this move. Do I understand it much? Not really, but you can guarantee, and I believe actually I had a match with my student where we played an even game, and I tried this move in that game. I told them, like, oh, I just saw this in a pro game recently, I'm going to try it. And when I played it, they were also like, wow, that's beautiful. So yeah, super cool move. Again, I'm not really sure what it's trying to do. Like, if black just jumps here, the problem is that I see with this move is you need to connect this somehow, but there's not a very efficient way to connect. Like, you don't want to do something like this because that's a little slow. You don't want to do something like this because that's a little slow. I would think to do something like this, try to make it's not a horse face, or it's not a dog face, it's not a horse face, so a giraffe face. Even still, though, this one space jump in the center is not very efficient. It's not really surrounding many points. So I don't know how, if black were to just go here, how to handle it. but it's cool nonetheless. So I'm going to try it. I think the trap is if you play something like this move is actually looking to attack D11 on a very large scale. So for example, if white ends up playing here to surround and then jumps down, white's top all of a sudden is very big, very big. And while white's right side is getting surrounded, it has a lot of Aji still. Even if white gives up some of this group, there's a lot of Aji still, and white can still attack the left side. So yeah, so black knows that, okay, you can't really connect, so I'm going to help my left side. And the idea with this connect, by the way, is black's looking to attach here. If you attach immediately, white's going to fight you here. Something like this. White is going to bring the fight. White has to use the thickness here somehow. So black wants to play here, but black's preparing by playing here first. But if you fix the weakness there, again, you're adding more stones to your thickness. So, and again, this next move, while not as crazy as M15, it still kind of shocked me because we have a 2-space jump from the side to the center, which you don't see very often. But realistically, it's also just a cap. Again, if you were to do something like this, black's just going to keep coming into your top side. So it makes sense, but once I saw it on the board, it was kind of like, oh, okay, I can see now. And then black's order of moves here is also very good, because if you start with this move, white's going to pounce and attack the left side somehow. So black starts here first, making me eye between you jumping down or me coming in. So white doesn't have time to make a huge moyo up top, is black's idea. So white covers. So like if black had gone elsewhere, then when white descends, now white has a pretty big top. It's almost 5th, 6th line territory. So good order of moves here by black. And then white attaches. And so again, I think these are prepared moves from white, is my guess as well. So, and this move is not super easy for black to answer. You don't want to just pull back like this, because you can see how over-concentrated and slow black's moves are. So black doesn't want to do that. If black pulls back like this, then we get a scenario where we get this peep into black once again being very inefficient. So black's trying to avoid being inefficient. So black's trying to hane, so if you block, I can just capture. Just capture, and yeah, you're laddered. So white cuts. White cuts. Black Ataris. And there's a case that white could consider doing this. Of course, this shape is very strong, but black stone here is obviously very weak. And if black were to surround now, white actually attacking the left side seems plausible. This might have been what I would look for, which is why it's probably very vulgar, because you give black you let black capture a stone. Now there's 0 Aji in the corner. There's 0 Aji at the 3/3 spot because black's shape is so solid. So white stays patient. White extends. So black Ataris. And then white 3/3. So this was white's plan. White's created this cutting Aji. And if you fix that Aji, I'm going to be able to connect. So black descends. Or black prevents that. White cuts. Connects. This is threatening to capture. So black fixes. If you try to do something else, this just captures the cutting stones. Black plays there. And black is like, you know what? I don't even want to fight this ko. So black just gives it to white like that, which is reasonable. Is reasonable. So black has Sente and white extends. So I'm looking at this board position too. So as white, okay, I've given up the R11 stone and I've taken the corner out, and black has 2 isolated groups here. This has to be okay for me, right? Somehow I'm going to be able to attack one of these 2 groups severely. But you'll see that black is a crafty fellow. So one, I would really go here as white. Especially after getting F14, this knight's move, just hanging out in the center, is going to be hard to manage. Like at any point, there's bad Aji with this cut here. And again, black, if black attaches and we play something like this, like black's base here is actually not that solid either. But even if we didn't like that, because we have this thickness here, all ladders benefit us. So we could even really put the pressure on black with this. And this stone is hitting black's weak spot perfectly. But white goes there first, which again I was shocked by. Again, it makes sense. You're trying to take out black's base, but black attaches and white. Again, this move is helping connect. So now when you play here, now black's connection is a lot easier. So white goes here. Now black attaches. White has to Hane that way. Again, that's the purpose of G12 is you can't Hane on the inside now. You can see the stone is getting threatened in a ladder. So you have to Hane this way. Black pulls back. And then white Hane's back, yes, and just covers. And then black just covers. So really, black has already really settled the top. There's some Aji there, but there's not a lot. And in return, white has this kind of this knight's move formation in the center, but it's hard to use this to make points. Like if you think about, we're trying to attack for profit. Well, we got some profit up top in the upper left, although of course there's still Aji of moves like C17 still, but we've gained a little bit up top, and we can still attack the left side, but at the top, black's basically completely settled. There's some Aji still, but yeah, black clamps. This is a great shape to know. Always try to clamp because any other move you play, white extends their liberties. Whereas when you play here, there is no way for white to get more liberties besides just connecting, which is what white does. Black plays here, shape point, right? Dog face, and then descends. White plays here, and this is another move. This by itself is not like a crazy move, like this 3-space jump into the center. But the concept of it is very nice. Is Haneing underneath. I can guarantee you I would have saw this and been happy with this, right? White descends, and I get I get it somewhat of a base, but white actually gains a lot by doing this. But Haneing here is so good. Because obviously if white cuts, then I get the same move, get the bamboo joint, but white's shape has less points. Or as we see, we cut, and then white goes here, and then white has to cut. So it might look like we've just kind of given up a lot of stones, but in reality, we can still squeeze this later if we want. So white doesn't actually get that many points there. And also, white forced us to play here, which this damages the upper left. We can now, white has an open skirt now to the upper left. So, yeah, but black has to settle for now. Then Hane, yeah. White plays there. Yeah, you want to cut, but if the goal is to keep black separated, this would allow black to capture the cut. So that's why white takes that stone. But again, it is direct and it is fixing the problems, but I would try to find, why not play something like this? Just trying to find some way to be a little more efficient. This is threatening the top now. If black has to fix, then maybe we can cut. Because after this, maybe stuff can hold. I don't know. It just felt like white played too... It's like too one-dimensional here. White just plays here, and black even wedges, and white fixes the cut. Black goes there, and then again was able to take the shape point here. So you can see white split black, but all white has gotten is a bunch of dame. So then white turns the attention, after the attack has gone down, white turns the attention to the right side. But black's lead here is just kind of, you can see how simply black plays here. Black just descends and then pokes there. Doesn't even, I would be playing this move first, right? Try kind of treating both as Miai. But black just says, nope, I'll just take away that spot. White plays there, play on top. White attaches. See how black's going to play. Then white plays here. Because the bottom side is open, white doesn't want to give black the right side because it's going to be bigger. So white plays there. Black descends. This descent might look small, but in reality, with this Hane and connect being sente anytime, it's quite big. So black gets rid of that. Plus this threatens to cut at M3 as well. White goes there. And again, I love black's next move. Because here I'd be like, okay, there's a cut here at M3 I want to keep alive. So these two stones do have some value because this cut works. So if I play here, this threatens to cut off the tail and keeps this cut alive, and there's Hane, so it's great. But if you go here, white's going to cut next. And now we see white's true plan when white has played these stones. If we have to live somehow, like this, and then like this, if we have to live somehow, black is alive in sente, but look how all of white's stones here now are working together to make a pretty big center. Make a pretty big center. So black just fixes. Again, I expect the second best player in the world to see this, but yeah, it is cool. Even though there's a cut here. And the thing is, like, these two stones get captured. White stones are perfectly placed to capture these stones. So black knows black can hit that weakness while threatening to save. So white captures, and we'll see in a few moves. And again, this is the problem with white playing this B12 move, is black's able to jump in, and this hits the shape point of the white stones here. And so this is huge. This is huge. So even though white got a little bit here, black took this. White cuts. White covers. So here, this is a good point too. Notice how black haned and then left it. Because if we just immediately leave it, the white descending threatens to capture, right? Whereas after this extension, we have actually saved these two stones. Even if white plays here, notice we've saved the two stones in Sente. And yes, white can also play here to threaten the two, but then now we're just getting more points this way. So Hane and forget about it. Hane and forget about it. Push down, play there, and then play there. But yeah, black's lead here is just, now black does this squeeze as well. Black's lead here is just too much. Yeah, black's shape is so good. And they play a few more moves, but after black connects here, black's actually up by 10 with Komi, so black's lead on the board is quite substantial. So at this point, white resigns. But yeah, I love this game because it was kind of a, what's the term, a dichotomy. It was a night and day between white, who is very experimental, and black, who is very textbook. Where white was playing these moves that I had never seen before, and black was just kind of playing very surgical and like, yeah, just very confident, surgical, and just kind of, yeah, I don't want to say simple because, you know, there's nothing simple about pro play, but a lot of what black did was kind of just like, okay, that makes sense, I get that. Why can't I do that? It looks so easy, but yeah. So I love this game because, again, I learned a few moves, and I loved kind of black's cool demeanor during this game. Like, black didn't really have to try too hard, even when black had two weak groups at the top and the left side. So, but yeah, hopefully you enjoyed the game too. Let me know in the comments what you thought of the game, and yeah, I'll see you all in the next video.